everyone and welcome to Creative Cakes by Sharon. Today I've teamed up with some of my friends at TasteMade and together we've come up with some terrific dishes for Father's Day. From Ania's Kitchen we have a maple and nut baguette. Sharmila's Kitchen has made chicken and cheese balls. Karen from Cravings Food Adventures has made Moroccan cigars. Now that sounds interesting, doesn't it? A healthy pulled pork sandwich from the Low Carb Planner, as well as these delicious looking chili cheese fries from Lindsay at the Kitchen Witch. And finally a beef stew from Rookie with a Cookie, and of course I've got something sweet for Father's Day with this inside surprise Father's Day cake. Now guys, don't forget to stay tuned till the end of my video and I'll leave all the links to everybody else's videos. So for now, let's get started and I'll show you how to make this inside surprise Father's Day cake.
The first thing I need to do is prepare my first batch of cake batter, and today I'm using a store-bought packet of vanilla cake. Into the batter I'm going to add some blue gel food colouring. This is going to make the surprise on the inside of our cake really stand out once it's cut into. Now I'm going to transfer the batter into 2 lined trays and pop them in the oven to bake. Now because these cakes are very thin, only about half an inch or so tall, it's going to bake very quickly, so make sure you don't overbake and keep an eye on it. Mine took about 12 minutes. Once they're done, just remove them from the pans and let them cool down to room temperature so they can be handled. While these cakes are cooling, I'm going to prepare my second lot of cake batter, and this time I'm using a double quantity because I want to make a really nice tall square cake. Now the inside surprise of this cake is going to be a moustache and a bow tie. So I've got a cookie cutter for the moustache, but I didn't have one for the bow tie, so I've just used some cardboard to cut out a template. So now I'll just cut these shapes out of the blue cakes and get ready to assemble them. I don't really have a tall square pan, and you probably won't have one at home either. So I've covered some cardboard with some foil and then again with some non-stick baking paper. This is a really clever way to extend the size or shape of a cake pan that you've already got at home in the cupboard. Now I can start assembling the inside of my surprise cake, and I'm going to use a wooden skewer for stability and create a stack of the moustaches and bows. Once I've got my 2 stacks, I can place them both into the cake pan and start to carefully pour the second batch of batter into the tins. I need to make sure that the cake batter surrounds both of the stacks nicely. The batter should come to about 2/3 of the way up the stacks. Don't forget it's going to rise up the rest of the way in the oven. So long as you coat the bows and the moustache cakes with some of the liquidy cake batter, they'll not dry out in the oven. Once the cake is baked, you can remove the skewers and carefully turn the cake out onto a cooling rack. It needs to be completely cooled before going any further. I've given the cake a little trim to make it nice and flat and even, and I'm using some buttercream frosting to cover the cake. It's important to know where the front of this cake will be, because once it's covered we won't know. And after all this effort, we don't want to cut into it from the wrong side. So I've simply placed a toothpick under the cake on the side I want to be the front facing. After I've covered the cake with the frosting, I can use a piece of paper towel and gently rub over the cake to smooth out the frosting, and run my fingers along the edges to make them nice and sharp. The cake will have to be placed in the fridge now so that the frosting can develop a crust and become firm. Now I'm going to start decorating the outside of the cake, and you can of course do this however you like. I'm covering it with some light blue fondant, and before I apply the fondant I need to lightly brush over the frosting with some simple syrup. This is so that the fondant sticks nicely to the cake. Applying the fondant one side at a time, trimming off any excess from the edges and smoothing as I go. At this point I can remove the toothpick and replace it with a little ball of fondant just until I start adding the decorations, so I maintain which side is the front. Now using a darker blue fondant, I'm creating a bow tie and moustache. I can add some texture to these with the back of a paintbrush, and I'm inserting some wire into the moustache so it can be used as a topper on top of the cake. I've created some nice bright coloured braces which I can add to the cake and finish off with the bow tie stuck front and centre. Now when this cake is cut into, we discover the cutest little surprise inside. Served up for your dad on Father's Day with a cup of coffee, I'm sure you won't be able to wipe the smile off his face. As promised, I have on screen all of the links to the videos in this collaboration. Make sure you check them out, subscribe to their channels, they all have awesome recipes which I'm sure you'll love, and leave them a comment to say I sent you. Now if you enjoyed my special Father's Day Inside Surprise Cake, don't forget to give me a like also. If you're new to my channel, welcome and thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my creative cakes. I have on screen now some of my previous videos for you to check out. I'm sure you're going to enjoy them. I hope you tune in next time, and as always, thanks for watching.